So these lowlifes are nothing but predictable. And it has been completely silent out on the street for, I don't know, hours today. There was some construction going on, and then the rest of the afternoon was silent. I did have the window closed because every time I open this window, all of a sudden there's a group of mentally disturbed, behaviorally dysregulated psycho pigs from the building across the street standing on the street corner screaming and shouting or blasting music. And I literally opened this window maybe 25 minutes ago, and now they're back out on the street screaming and shouting. Sure enough. Yeah, see that car right there? That vehicle, the silver SUV that never moves because it's not a legitimate transportation vehicle. It's a hate-stalking, activist, perving and creeping masturbation mobile, rather. The mobile itself doesn't masturbate as far as I know. Yeah, that just started happening. So now these mentally disturbed, hate-stalking rejects are disrupting the neighborhood once again by blasting music at high volumes that everybody else has to listen to whether they want to or not. It is right around 7 p.m. on Friday, June 6, 2025, and it was completely silent throughout the afternoon except for, again, some construction going out on the street. And I kept my windows closed in spite of the fact that it was maybe 80 degrees today and really hot. Now that it's finally evening and the temperatures are dropping, I open my windows and the Psycho Circus from the 191 Green Street building suddenly starts showing up again right there. So again, if this continues, I'll be calling the police. That vehicle, which is basically a hate-stalking activist BLM reject mobile, because BLM doesn't do anything actually to elevate the Black community. They simply just engage in a lot of psychotic hate-stalking, perving and creeping, and thuggery. That is not a legitimate transportation vehicle. It never moves. It's been in that same spot for weeks. Nobody ever drives it. And it seems to be rooted to that one spot right there. It never leaves that one spot. There's plenty of other parking spots available up and down the street. There's also a giant parking lot behind this building, but that vehicle never moves, and neither do the pieces of shit that sit in it for hours, screaming and shouting and blasting music that disrupts not just this corner, but the rest of the neighborhood. You can hear this vehicle blasting its music up and down the street because they're BLM hate-stalking rejects, that's why. And what are they doing? So there are picnic tables, at least 2, in the parking lot behind this building for socializing purposes. So when you get these street parties and people screaming and shouting right here for hours at a time, it's not necessary. They're not doing that to socialize, because if they wanted to socialize, they would just sit at the picnic tables that are in the back of the parking lot for the express and sole purpose of hanging out outside. So I'm just going to keep hitting pause as long as that lowlife is sitting in that vehicle, perving and creeping and blasting music. I really don't see what the point is of sitting in a vehicle for hours at a time. And right now it's right around 7 p.m., shortly before 7 on Friday, June 6th. Okay, so the violent slamming and pounding from 76 directly below is now once again happening. It was very silent today. Today was a very quiet day. I had a Zoom phone meeting at 2 p.m., multiple phone calls to make, sent some emails, took care of some business, and it was completely silent for the most part. But now, while I'm sitting here on my bed scratching my eczema, because I have really bad eczema, and anybody who's had eczema knows how itchy it is. Like, it just does not stop itching. So every time I scratch my eczema in the privacy of this living space, and I don't film myself doing it, obviously, why in the world would I ever film myself scratching my eczema? Nobody should have any knowledge of the fact that I even do that in the privacy of this living space, or when I do that. The psycho pig directly below in 76, a severely violent, mentally disturbed reject who almost never leaves 76 because the slamming and pounding happen at like 2 a.m, 4 a.m, whenever I happen to try to use my bathroom. Yesterday morning when I woke up at 4:30, they started repeatedly slamming something below my bed to let me know that they had some kind of knowledge of the fact that I was awake, even though I woke up without an alarm. Now they're slamming and pounding something below this bed each time I scratch my eczema, and only when I scratch my eczema. It's the same piece of shit who's been getting all jiggy and worked up every time I scratch my eczema. Well, not every time, but most times for years. It's that fat, perving, masturbating, sex offender, pedophile, psycho pig, Jasmine Irizarry. I just got another violent slam from directly below. That must mean that not only is Irizarry doing exactly what her handler and sponsor, Oleg Alexeyev, the property manager, keeps saying that she's good at doing, which is hacking into anything and getting into anything to provide a direct quote of Mr. Alexeyev's praise for Jasmine Irizarry's hacking skills. But she's also, once again, doxing the fact that there are surveillance devices in this unit. And both of those things are things that I've been reporting and observing and experiencing on a daily basis for years from Irizarry. So you know it's Irizarry because it keeps happening in the same exact pattern of cause and effect, spontaneous, violent slamming and pounding when I happen to do one or two very specific things while lying on my bed, or, you know, sitting here right now, I'm sitting up, but scratching my eczema. That seems to set off the masturbating, perving, creeping sex offender almost every single time I do it. Very strange. So back to my point, which is scratching my eczema is a very silent, unintrusive, and spontaneous activity. I don't always scratch my eczema, but when it starts getting really itchy, I scratch it. However, the psycho pig directly below in 76 seems to know exactly the exact moment when I start scratching my eczema, and that's when she, or it, starts violently slamming something below my bed to let me know that they have some kind of knowledge of the fact that I'm doing something, you know, potentially embarrassing or personal that I might not want other people to know about. And that's when they get violent to let me know that I have no privacy. I mean, the whole point of all this is to dox anything and everything that I might happen to do in the privacy of this living space that could be considered embarrassing or, you know, publicly shaming in some way. I don't do anything weird. I know that there are surveillance devices in this unit, and I know that the BLM activists in this building have been doxing my personal activities in this unit for years. They've even bragged about that in multiple comments on my social media page over the last few years. So, you know, I'm not doing anything weird in this unit that I wouldn't want everybody to know, because everybody knows what I do in here anyway. However, I have the right to scratch my eczema if it's itchy or particularly bothersome. And the stupid psycho pig who thinks that I don't know that I know that they know that I am doing certain things in the privacy of this living space thinks that by slamming something below my bed, it is distressing to me, like it's causing me distress. No, it's not, because the cat's already out of the bag, you pathetic reject. I already know that you know of what I do in here. So I don't do anything that I wouldn't want everybody to know about, but I do have the right to scratch my eczema. And I'm not particularly embarrassed about that. Having a skin condition and scratching it is normal. What's not normal is not having a skin condition and then scratching your skin, right? That's a disorder. But if you have a legitimate, irritating, itchy, annoying skin condition, it's a normal and natural thing to want to scratch it, right? Like scratching a mosquito bite or hives if you're allergic to things and you get hives. And I also get hives. Everybody who's had eczema knows it is a particularly itchy, really annoying skin condition, and you just itch. You itch. It itches, it itches, it itches. So itching, a skin condition that is legitimately itchy, is not a disorder. It's not weird. It's not abnormal. It's actually very normal. If your skin itches, you want to scratch it. That is normal. What is not normal is scratching at perfect, healthy skin that doesn't have any irritation or rash or bites or, hives on it. That is a disorder. That's called a picking disorder. When you pick skin that is healthy and normal and you think there's something there, but there isn't, that's a disorder. But picking or scratching skin that is legitimately irritated or scratchy or itchy, such as eczema, such as rashes of various sorts, poison ivy, allergic skin reactions, problems with your skincare products or whatever, itching your skin or scratching it when it is legitimately scratchy or itchy or has some kind of a irritation on it is normal. It's not only normal, it's adaptive, because when you scratch a mosquito bite, you literally get the poison out of the mosquito bite. When mosquitoes bite your skin, they inject a poison that causes a reaction, and that's why you get like a raised bump that is super itchy, and by scratching it, you get the poison out. You literally lance it. And eczema is an autoimmune skin condition that millions of people suffer from. It doesn't mean that you're dirty or that you have some kind of weird disease. It is an autoimmune skin irritation. It can also be caused by allergic reactions. So again, the psycho pig who keeps repeatedly slamming and banging things below my bed, most of the time when I do happen to start scratching my eczema because they want me to feel embarrassed or ashamed, is pathetically stupid. I wouldn't be scratching my eczema, dipshits, if I was embarrassed about it, because I happen to know, as I keep reporting, that there are surveillance devices being used in this living space, as everybody associated with this building complex has told me over the last 8 years, including the police and the management, saying, hey, if you have a problem with it, it's video, not audio. And if you have a problem with it, go talk to the police because they're the ones who said it was okay, blah, 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 blah. These days, things are not normal. And privacy for private citizens is a thing of the past. So if anybody has a problem with you these days, they seem to be perfectly permitted and allowed and capable of somehow managing to pick your lock, get into your living space, slap a bunch of little tiny dot-sized surveillance devices, perving and creeping audio or video devices all over your bed area or your bathroom or wherever they want to perv and creep. And then they can perv and creep to their heart's content. And law enforcement says that they can't do anything about it, or that it's okay because they think that you're a this or you're a that. They don't like the way you think. They don't like your ideas. So therefore, they're going to permit all kinds of surveillance and harassment because they have a problem with how you form your opinions. It's pretty much what I've been dealing with for 8 years now.